Ma'am, your son is dying. Jasmine Washington's voice cuts through the chaos of Denny's dining room as 8-year-old Connor Matthews collapses in his chair, his lips turning blue, gasping for air that won't come. His mother, Victoria Matthews, designer handbag clutched tight, diamonds glinting on her fingers, whirls around with venom in her voice. "Keep your filthy hands off my child! I don't take orders from people like you!" But Connor's face is swelling like a balloon, red welts spreading across his neck like wildfire. His desperate wheezing fills the restaurant as other diners begin to stare in horror. "Your son needs epinephrine right now, or he'll die," Jasmine says, reaching into her apron and pulling out a medical injector that gleams under the fluorescent lights. "Touch him and I'll have you arrested! You're nothing but a black waitress!" Victoria screams, stepping between Jasmine and her dying child. Connor's breathing stops completely for 3 terrifying seconds, then resumes with a horrible rasping sound that makes nearby diners gasp. Will Victoria's racism cost Connor his life? The Sunday morning rush at Denny's on Maple Avenue represents everything comfortable about suburban America. Soft jazz plays overhead while families in their church clothes enjoy pancakes and bacon, the sweet scent of maple syrup mingling with fresh coffee. This is the good side of town, where manicured lawns meet million-dollar homes, and the customers expect their service with a smile and without complications. Victoria Matthews embodies this world perfectly. Her Louis Vuitton handbag rests beside organic juice boxes she brought from home because you simply cannot trust restaurant food prepared by, well, certain people. Her perfectly highlighted hair frames a face that's never known real hardship, only the manufactured struggles of choosing between private schools and country club memberships. She surveys the restaurant with the casual entitlement of someone who's never questioned whether she belongs. Her husband, Richard, scrolls through real estate listings on his phone, occasionally grunting in agreement to his wife's commentary about maintaining neighborhood standards. His business revolves around keeping properties family-friendly, code words that everyone understands but no one discusses. Success has insulated him from consequences, creating a man who believes his wealth proves his wisdom. Connor sits between them, their sensitive middle child who asks uncomfortable questions like, "Why don't any kids who look like my friend Marcus live in our neighborhood?" Today should be special. He'd been excited about pancakes all week, wearing his favorite dinosaur shirt and chattering about the museum they'd visit afterward. But something feels wrong after his first few bites. His tongue tingles strangely and his throat feels thick. Across the dining room, Jasmine Washington refills coffee cups with practiced efficiency, invisible to most customers unless they need something. She's 38 years old with an associate degree in emergency medical services, a former EMT who saved lives for 3 years before circumstances forced her into service work. Her uniform is clean but worn, her shoes practical rather than fashionable, her name tag the only thing that makes her human to most diners. The reason for her career change is sitting at home with a babysitter, 10-year-old Maya, her brilliant daughter who carries multiple EpiPens because peanuts, shellfish, or tree nuts could kill her in minutes. Jasmine learned to read medical emergencies the hard way, through midnight hospital runs and terrifying episodes that taught her to recognize anaphylaxis faster than most doctors. She carries Maya's backup EpiPen in her apron, $600 of life-saving medication that represents nearly a week's wages. Her ex-husband disappeared when the medical bills mounted, claiming he didn't sign up for a defective kid. Now Jasmine works double shifts to afford insurance that barely covers Maya's specialists, living in a world where one allergic reaction could bankrupt them. Manager Brad watches from behind the register, 25 years old and desperate to impress corporate headquarters with smooth operations and satisfied customers. He's absorbed the unspoken hierarchy. Wealthy white families deserve immediate attention and minimal disruption, while staff complaints about difficult situations mark you as a troublemaker. The other diners represent comfortable suburbia at its most oblivious. The elderly couple discussing their grandchildren's private school applications. The businessman checks stock prices while his wife plans their European vacation. Young families whose biggest concern is whether little Brittany will get into the right preschool. They exist in a bubble where serious problems happen to other people in other places, where a child's distress registers as bad parenting rather than medical emergency. This demographic sees Jasmine as part of the scenery, efficient, polite, and forgettable. When she speaks, they hear the help offering opinions above her station. Her uniform makes her invisible. Her race makes her expertise unthinkable. She's learned to navigate their casual condescension with professional grace, biting back responses to comments about those people and certain neighborhoods. But Jasmine possesses something none of these educated, wealthy customers have: real expertise in recognizing when a child is dying. She's administered epinephrine in ambulances, talked to panicked parents through allergic reactions, and watched children go from healthy to critical in minutes. Her knowledge comes from necessity, not textbooks, the kind of wisdom that privileged people never acquire because they never need it. The restaurant hums with the comfortable sounds of Sunday morning, soft conversations about weekend plans, the gentle clink of silverware against plates, children's laughter mixing with adult discussions of school fundraisers and neighborhood events. It's a sanctuary of predictable pleasures where nothing truly dangerous ever happens. Until today, when two worlds collide in the most devastating way possible, a child's life hanging in the balance, and the only person qualified to save him dismissed as irrelevant by those who need her most. What happens when expertise wears an apron and speaks with the wrong accent in the wrong skin? Connor's symptoms begin subtly, insidiously. After his second bite of pancakes made with peanut oil, he starts scratching his neck, leaving red marks that Victoria notices immediately. "Connor, stop that disgusting scratching. What will people think?" Her voice carries that particular suburban authority, sharp, entitled, designed to remind everyone of social hierarchies. But Connor can't stop. His throat feels strange, thick. The pancakes taste metallic, wrong. He pushes the plate away with trembling hands. "Mommy, my mouth feels funny. It's all tingly and weird." Victoria's face hardens with familiar frustration. Last month, Connor claimed stomach problems right before his piano recital. The month before, he developed a mysterious headache during a playdate with her friend's son. She's convinced her sensitive child has learned to manipulate situations through manufactured illness. "Absolutely not. You begged for pancakes all week. Stop making excuses and eat them." Richard barely glances up from scrolling through property listings. "Listen to your mother, champ. No faking sickness on family day." As Connor's scratching intensifies, the welts spread down his neck, small but unmistakable. Jasmine approaches their table with fresh coffee, immediately recognizing the pattern. Maya gets identical welts in the early stages of reactions. "Excuse me, ma'am," Jasmine says carefully, her voice respectful but urgent. "Has your son eaten anything containing nuts? He appears to be having an allergic reaction." Victoria's head snaps up, eyes flashing with indignation. "Excuse me? I think I know my own child." The temperature in her voice drops to Arctic levels. "I don't need medical advice from the help." The word help hits like a physical slap. Around the restaurant, conversations pause as diners tune into the unfolding drama. The social dynamics are familiar and comfortable, the well-dressed white woman putting the black service worker firmly in her place. "Ma'am, I have experience with food allergies," Jasmine persists, watching Connor's breathing become more labored. "Those welts on his neck are from scratching because he's throwing a tantrum," Victoria interrupts, her voice rising to ensure nearby tables can hear. "People like you always think you know better than educated parents." The phrase, "people like you," hangs in the air with unmistakable meaning. Several diners nod approvingly, recognizing the proper restoration of social order. Connor's face begins flushing deeper red. His breathing sounds increasingly strained, but the adults remain focused on their power struggle. He tugs weakly at his collar. "Mommy, it's hard to breathe." "Stop being dramatic. Use your normal voice." Jasmine feels the familiar burn of dismissal, of being reduced to assumptions and stereotypes. But Connor's symptoms are accelerating, his lips starting to swell, his hands looking puffy. "Please, ma'am, I'm begging you. My daughter has severe allergies. I know what this progression looks like." Victoria stands abruptly, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. "How dare you compare my son to your situation? Connor doesn't have allergies. He's just learned that acting sick gets him attention from bleeding hearts like you." The racial undertones become explicit as Victoria continues. "These people always think they know better than those of us with actual education and breeding." It's probably something they teach in those community colleges. Richard finally looks up, adding his voice to the humiliation. Do you have a medical degree? No? Then keep your opinions to yourself and do your job. When Jasmine mentions her EMT background, Victoria laughs with cruel delight. Oh, please. What did you do, take a weekend first aid course? I'm not taking medical advice from someone who, well, someone in your position. The restaurant buzzes with approving murmurs. The businessman at table 6 nods knowingly. The elderly woman by the window shakes her head at the audacity. Everyone understands the script. The presumptuous black woman overstepping, the refined white family maintaining proper boundaries. Manager Brad appears instantly, trained to diffuse any situation that might upset wealthy customers. Is there a problem here? Your employee is harassing us, Victoria declares, her voice pitched for maximum audience impact. Making wild medical claims, causing a scene. I want her moved to a different section immediately. I apologize for this disruption, Brad says to Victoria, then turns to Jasmine with warning in his eyes. Remember what we discussed about knowing your boundaries and appropriate customer interaction? The humiliation reaches its peak as Victoria delivers the final blow. I don't know what they teach people like you, but in civilized society, service workers don't diagnose customers' children. Maybe stick to refilling coffee and leave the thinking to those qualified for it. She turns to Richard with theatrical exasperation. This is exactly why we need to be more selective about where we eat. The quality of staff keeps declining in these places. The cruelty is breathtaking in its casual efficiency. Other staff members avoid eye contact with Jasmine, unwilling to risk their jobs by showing support. Diners return to their meals, having witnessed the social order properly reinforced. The message resonates clearly through the restaurant. Know your place, stay silent, accept your role. But while the adults engage in their ugly display of prejudice and power, Connor's condition deteriorates rapidly. His lips are now visibly swollen, tinged with blue around the edges. His breathing has become a series of desperate wheezes. His hands, when he tries to reach for his water glass, shake with weakness. The welts have spread down his arms and across his face. His eyes, wide with fear he doesn't understand, search frantically for help. But his parents are too invested in their performance of superiority to notice their son sliding toward unconsciousness. Jasmine stands isolated, surrounded by the wreckage of her dignity, watching a child approach death while being told she's unqualified to have an opinion. The cruel irony burns. The person they're humiliating possesses the exact expertise needed to save their son's life. Connor tries to speak, to tell his parents something is terribly wrong, but his throat is closing. Only a frightened whimper emerges, lost beneath the sound of adult voices asserting their authority over someone they've decided doesn't matter. The clock ticks toward catastrophe, while privilege blinds them to the growing emergency. Will their need to maintain social hierarchy cost Connor everything? Connor's condition deteriorates with terrifying speed while the racial drama consumes the adult's attention. His scratching becomes frantic, desperate clawing at anywhere he can reach. The welts spread like a roadmap of distress across his small body, angry red marks that seem to multiply with each passing minute. "Mommy," he whispers, his voice now thick and unrecognizable. "I can't. My throat feels—" "Use your normal voice! Stop whispering!" Victoria snaps, but her anger falters slightly when she notices Connor's hands. They're swelling, his fingers looking puffy and strange, like small sausages. Something cold touches her stomach, but she pushes the feeling away. Jasmine watches from across the restaurant, refilling sugar dispensers with mechanical precision while her mind races. She recognizes the timeline with horrifying clarity. Connor is maybe 15 minutes into a severe anaphylactic reaction. Without intervention, he has perhaps 10 to 15 minutes left before his airway closes completely. Every maternal instinct screams at her to intervene, but Victoria's humiliation still burns. She's learned the cost of challenging white authority in spaces like this. The risk to her job, her insurance, Maya's medical coverage. Everything hangs in the balance. But Connor is an innocent child, and Jasmine's moral code won't let her abandon him to his parents' prejudice. She abandons her station and approaches their table again, this time speaking directly to Connor, bypassing the adults entirely. Sweetheart, can you tell me how your tongue feels right now? Does it feel too big for your mouth? Connor nods frantically, tears forming as he struggles with each breath. His eyes are wide with fear he can't articulate. Like your tongue doesn't fit right? Like there's not enough room? Another desperate nod. The tears start flowing as his breathing becomes more labored. I told you to stay away from my son, Victoria explodes. But there's a new note in her voice, something that might be the first crack in her denial. Jasmine pulls out her phone and activates the camera, holding it up like a mirror for Connor to see his reflection. Honey, I want you to look at yourself. Can you see how your face looks different? When Connor sees his reflection, face swollen beyond recognition, lips puffy and discolored, welts covering his neck and arms, his eyes go wide with terror. He tries to cry out, but only a wheeze emerges from his closing throat. The image is undeniable, shocking in its clarity. Several nearby diners gasp audibly. Oh my God, that child is having an allergic reaction. Someone call 911. He's really in trouble. The elderly woman at table 12 stands up. That's anaphylaxis. I've seen it before. The businessman who earlier complained about Connor's behavior fumbles for his phone. Holy shit, call an ambulance! Victoria stares at her son's reflection in Jasmine's phone, and reality crashes through her prejudice like glass shattering. The swelling, the labored breathing, the blue tinge around his lips that she can no longer deny or explain away. Connor, what's happening to you? But Connor can't answer. He's using every ounce of energy just to force air through his rapidly narrowing airway. His hands flutter weakly toward his throat in the universal sign of distress. Richard finally looks up from his phone, sees his son's condition, and his face drains of all color. Jesus Christ! Call 911! Now! Jasmine's voice cuts through the chaos with medical authority. Ma'am, your son is experiencing anaphylactic shock. This is a life-threatening medical emergency. We need to call emergency services and administer epinephrine immediately. The transformation in her tone is remarkable. No longer the deferential waitress, but a trained professional taking command of a crisis. The change is so dramatic that even Victoria notices. But he doesn't have allergies, Victoria stammers, her voice small and confused. Connor's never had allergies. He was fine this morning. Allergies can develop at any time, Jasmine explains quickly, watching Connor's color change. First-time reactions are often the most severe because there's no preparation, no awareness of triggers. Connor's breathing stops completely for 3 terrifying seconds. The entire restaurant holds its breath. When he finally gasps again, the sound is horrible, wet, strained, the sound of someone drowning in their own swelling. We don't have much time, Jasmine says, her professional training overriding every social boundary that had constrained her minutes earlier. Will Connor survive long enough for help to arrive? And why does this waitress know exactly what to do when everyone else is paralyzed with panic? The restaurant erupts into controlled chaos as Connor collapses back into his chair, no longer able to support his own weight. His breathing becomes a series of desperate wheezes, each one sounding like it might be his last. His face has progressed from red to an alarming pale blue around the lips, a color that sends chills through everyone watching. Call 911! Jasmine shouts to Brad, but the manager stands frozen, his mind racing through corporate liability protocols and insurance concerns. Should we wait for the parents to authorize? He starts, his voice uncertain. There's no time. Jasmine's voice carries the unmistakable authority of someone who's commanded emergency situations before. This child will be dead before the paperwork is finished. Victoria is in complete meltdown, her carefully constructed world crumbling around her. I don't understand, she sobs, reaching toward Connor with trembling hands. He was fine. He was just being difficult. Connor, baby, talk to mommy. But Connor can't talk. His airway is closing systematically, each breath requiring tremendous effort. His hands flutter weakly at his throat, and his eyes, wide with terror, search desperately for someone to make the nightmare stop. Richard springs into action, his business instincts finally kicking in. Someone do something! Anything! I'll pay whatever it costs! Does anyone have an EpiPen? Jasmine calls out to the restaurant, her voice cutting through the rising panic. The question hangs in the air, met with blank stares and helpless shrugs. These are suburban families living in comfortable bubbles, people who've never faced real medical emergencies in their insulated world of private schools and country clubs. We don't. Connor's never needed. He doesn't have allergies. Victoria stammers through her tears. Ma'am, with all due respect, your son is dying, Jasmine says, her voice steady despite the chaos. I've seen this exact progression with my daughter. We have maybe 5 minutes before his airway closes completely. She reaches into her apron and pulls out Maya's emergency EpiPen, the backup she carries everywhere, the $600 device that represents a significant portion of her monthly salary. Her hands are completely steady as she holds it up. I have one, but it's not prescribed to him, she explains quickly. Legally, I could face criminal charges for administering medication to someone else's child without parental consent. Use it, Richard shouts, his voice cracking with desperation. Whatever happens, whatever trouble you get in, we'll handle it. We'll protect you. But Victoria, even in the midst of the crisis, hesitates. Years of ingrained prejudice don't disappear instantly, even when her child's life hangs in the balance. Wait, what if you're wrong? What if it hurts him? You're not a real doctor. The confrontation that follows will be remembered by everyone in the restaurant for the rest of their lives. Jasmine looks Victoria directly in the eyes, her voice calm but carrying the weight of absolute truth. Ma'am, for the past 25 minutes, you've told me I'm not qualified to have an opinion about your son. You've made it crystal clear that you think people like me don't have the intelligence or education to recognize medical emergencies. Connor's breathing stops again, 4 seconds this time, before resuming with a horrible rasping sound that makes nearby diners cover their mouths in horror. But here's what you don't know about your simple waitress, Jasmine continues, her professional composure unshakable. I'm a licensed EMT with 3 years of field experience. I've administered epinephrine dozens of times in ambulances racing to hospitals. My daughter has lived with severe, life-threatening allergies for 10 years, and I've personally managed 5 anaphylactic episodes that would have killed her without immediate intervention. The restaurant has gone completely silent except for Connor's labored breathing. Every eye is fixed on this confrontation between prejudice and expertise. Right now, that experience makes me the most qualified person in this room to save your son's life. But you need to make a choice. You can continue believing that my uniform and my skin color determine my competence, or you can let me do what I was trained to do. Victoria stares at Jasmine, then at Connor, whose lips are now distinctly blue. His hands have stopped moving, lying limply at his sides as his body conserves energy for the desperate task of breathing. The moment stretches endlessly. Around them, other diners lean forward, holding their breath. This isn't just about medical emergencies anymore. It's about whether racism is stronger than maternal love, whether prejudice can overcome the basic human instinct to save a dying child. Ma'am, Richard says quietly, his voice breaking. Please, let her help him. Victoria looks at her son, really looks at him, and sees a child on the edge of death. Something fundamental breaks inside her, shattering years of assumptions and prejudices. Please, she whispers, tears streaming down her face. Oh God, please do whatever you have to do. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Just save him. Jasmine doesn't hesitate. She kneels beside Connor with practiced efficiency, her movements calm and professional. Connor, sweetheart, this is going to hurt for just 1 second, but it's going to help you breathe again. I need you to be brave for me, okay? She positions the EpiPen against his thigh, explaining each step with the patience of someone who's done this before. I'm giving you medicine that will stop the allergic reaction. You're going to feel a sharp pinch, then you're going to start feeling much better. The entire restaurant watches as she drives the pen through his pants into his thigh muscle. The device clicks loudly, a sound that seems to echo through the stunned silence. Connor jerks and cries out, the first clear sound he's made in 10 minutes. Good boy, Jasmine says softly, holding his hand. The medicine is working now. Just breathe with me, in and out. Help is coming. The wait begins, 3 to 5 minutes for epinephrine to take effect. The longest minutes of everyone's lives. Jasmine monitors Connor's pulse with professional precision, talking him through each breath while his parents stand helplessly by, finally understanding the magnitude of what they almost lost through their own prejudice. Will the medicine work in time? And what will this moment of truth mean for everyone who witnessed it? As the ambulance sirens wail in the distance, Connor's breathing begins to ease for the first time in 30 minutes. The blue tinge fades from his lips and his eyes focus on Jasmine's face with growing clarity. The epinephrine is working, pulling him back from the brink of death with each passing second. EMT Rodriguez jumps from the ambulance and immediately recognizes the woman kneeling beside the child. "Jasmine Washington, what the hell are you doing here? I thought you were back at Metro General." "Working restaurant shifts," she replies without missing a beat, continuing to monitor Connor's pulse. "Had to leave the service when Maya's condition got worse, needed better insurance coverage and steadier hours." "Is this your intervention?" Rodriguez asks, examining the EpiPen injection site with professional interest. 8-year-old male, first known exposure to peanut allergens. Classic anaphylaxis progression, started about 30 minutes ago with localized urticaria, progressed to full systemic reaction, administered 0.3 milligrams epinephrine intramuscularly approximately 4 minutes ago. The medical precision of her report silences the restaurant completely. This isn't a waitress who got lucky. This is a trained emergency medical professional giving a textbook patient handoff. Rodriguez nods with clear respect. "Perfect timing, perfect dosage. Another few minutes and we'd be looking at a very different outcome." He turns to Victoria and Richard, who stand pale and shaken nearby. "This woman just saved your son's life. That was severe anaphylactic shock. Without immediate epinephrine, children can die in 15 to 20 minutes. You were really a paramedic?" Victoria asks, her voice barely a whisper. "EMT," Jasmine corrects. "Emergency medical technician, 3 years with Metro Emergency Services, specialized in pediatric calls." Her tone remains professional without a trace of vindictiveness. "I had to resign when my daughter's medical needs required more predictable scheduling. Dr. Martinez arrives with the hospital transport team and immediately defers to Jasmine for the complete clinical picture. EMT Washington, walk me through your assessment and intervention timeline." The formal address, EMT Washington, hits the restaurant like a thunderbolt. Brad's face goes ashen as he realizes he's been managing someone more medically qualified than most of his customers, treating her like she was overstepping by trying to save a life. "Why didn't you tell us about your background?" Brad asks, his voice weak. "You never asked," Jasmine replies simply. "And when I tried to use my training to help a child in crisis, I was told to stay in my lane and remember my place." The weight of that statement settles over everyone present. They've just witnessed someone with genuine medical expertise being dismissed, humiliated, and silenced based purely on assumptions about her race and job title. Connor, now breathing easily but still shaken, looks up at Jasmine with wonder. "You're like a real doctor?" "I'm someone who learned how to help people when they're scared and hurt," she answers gently. "Just like how your parents love you and want to keep you safe. Sometimes adults need special training to know how to do that." Victoria breaks down completely, her sobs echoing through the quiet restaurant. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We almost, because I wouldn't listen." She can't finish the sentences, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what her prejudice nearly cost. "Ma'am," Jasmine says quietly, "you were scared for your child. Parents make mistakes when they're frightened." But Richard understands the deeper truth. "No, we weren't just scared. We were wrong. About you. About what your knowledge was worth. About everything." His voice cracks with emotion. "You saved our son's life while we told you that you didn't matter." Rodriguez continues his conversation with Jasmine, oblivious to the emotional reckoning happening around them. "Fire department's still got that minority recruitment program for paramedic certification. Full ride scholarship, guaranteed placement. Are you interested?" "Maybe," Jasmine says, helping transfer Connor to the stretcher. "Been thinking about it lately." The casual mention of scholarships and career advancement opportunities stuns Victoria further. She's been operating under the assumption that someone in Jasmine's position couldn't access higher education or professional development. Another layer of prejudice being stripped away in real time. As Connor is loaded into the ambulance, breathing normally but requiring overnight observation, the restaurant slowly comes back to life. But nothing will ever be the same. Everyone present has witnessed the deadly cost of assumptions, the price of dismissing expertise based on appearance rather than ability. The woman they treated as invisible has revealed herself to be exactly what they needed most, and what they almost refused to accept. At Metro Children's Hospital, the ordeal is far from over. Dr. Sarah Martinez delivers sobering news to the Matthews family as Connor sleeps peacefully, connected to monitors that track every heartbeat and breath. The epinephrine saved his life, but anaphylactic reactions can be biphasic, meaning a second wave can hit 4 to 12 hours later, sometimes more severe than the first episode. Connor must remain under observation overnight. The next 12 hours will determine whether the worst is truly behind them or if another life-threatening episode awaits. Each beep of the monitor serves as a reminder that their son's body could turn against him again at any moment. Victoria has been transformed by the events at the restaurant. Gone is the entitled suburban mother who dismissed medical advice from a black waitress. In her place sits a woman raw with gratitude and terror, forced to confront how close she came to losing her child through her own prejudice. What caused this? He's eaten pancakes dozens of times before. Adult-onset food allergies are increasingly common, Dr. Martinez explains patiently. Environmental factors, genetic predisposition that suddenly triggers changes in food processing, any number of causes. The pancakes were made with peanut oil, which your son's immune system identified as a deadly threat and responded accordingly. Richard, who built his wealth through real estate deals that often excluded minority families from desirable neighborhoods, stares at his sleeping son with devastating clarity. We almost killed him. Our own ignorance, our own... He struggles with the words, his voice breaking. Our own racist assumptions almost killed our own son. The admission hangs heavy in the sterile hospital air, impossible to take back or minimize. Jasmine hasn't left the hospital, despite her shift ending hours ago. Something compelled her to follow the ambulance, perhaps the memory of Maya's terrifying overnight stays. Perhaps because Connor's innocent face reminded her of every child she'd helped save during her EMT years. But being here resurrects painful memories. The career she loved but had to abandon when Maya's condition worsened, the financial struggles that forced her into service work, the daily challenge of raising a medically complex child completely alone. Maya arrives with Jasmine's neighbor, worried when her mother didn't come home from her Sunday shift. She's a beautiful, intelligent 10-year-old who carries dual EpiPens in a colorful medical pouch and knows emergency protocols better than most adults. Her presence in the hospital room creates an immediate, profound connection with Connor. You have allergies too? Connor asks, his voice still hoarse from the trauma his throat endured. Lots of them, Maya says matter-of-factly, settling into the chair beside his bed. Peanuts, tree nuts, shellfish, sesame. But my mom taught me how to stay safe and still have fun. Your mom saved my life. She saves mine every single day. The simple exchange between the children devastates Victoria completely. While she worried about Connor's embarrassing behavior, disrupting their comfortable public appearances, Jasmine has been managing genuine life-and-death medical emergencies every single day for 10 years. While the Matthews family can afford private schools, exclusive country clubs, and the best medical specialists money can buy, Jasmine struggles to pay for Maya's life-saving EpiPens, $600 each, barely covered by her restaurant's minimal insurance plan. How do you do it? Victoria asks Jasmine, her voice breaking with newfound understanding. How do you live with this constant fear every single day? You don't have a choice, Jasmine replies with quiet strength. You learn fast, or your child dies. You prepare for everything. You read every ingredient label like it's scripture, because for your child, it literally is. You teach them to advocate for themselves, to never be embarrassed about asking questions that might save their life. You carry emergency medication everywhere and pray you never need to use it. And you do all this alone? Maya's father left when the medical bills started mounting. Said he didn't sign up for a defective kid and couldn't handle the stress. Jasmine's voice remains steady, but years of pain echo in every word. Some people can't handle it when life gets complicated beyond their comfort zone. Victoria realizes she's been complaining about Connor's difficult moments to someone who's raised a medically fragile child as a single mother while working multiple jobs just to afford basic health care. The contrast between their realities is staggering and deeply humbling. At 2 in the morning, their worst fears materialize. Connor's monitors begin shrieking alarms as his breathing becomes labored again. The the dreaded biphasic reaction Dr. Martinez warned about. Victoria screams in panic while Richard fumbles helplessly, but Jasmine immediately recognizes every terrifying sign. "Dr. Martinez, room 12, he's having the secondary reaction!" She calls with professional authority, her EMT training overriding everything else. The medical team springs into coordinated action, but Connor is terrified and disoriented by the sudden, unexpected return of his life-threatening symptoms. Jasmine takes his small hand in both of hers, her voice calm and reassuring. "Remember me, sweetheart. I'm right here with you. We know exactly what this is, and we know precisely how to fix it. You're going to be perfectly okay." Her unshakable calm helps Connor remain cooperative as the medical team rapidly administers another dose of epinephrine and powerful corticosteroids. Within minutes that feel like hours, his breathing stabilizes and the crisis passes, but the episode serves as a harsh reminder of how genuinely serious his condition will always be. During the medical emergency, Victoria watches in amazement as Jasmine handles the crisis with complete professional competence while she and Richard stand frozen, utterly helpless despite all their wealth and education. The woman they humiliated and dismissed as incompetent has spent the entire night in an uncomfortable hospital chair, providing expert support to a family that treated her with open contempt and racial hostility. "Why are you still here?" Victoria asks after Connor stabilizes, her voice thick with shame. "After everything we said to you, everything we accused you of, why are you helping us?" "Because Connor is a frightened child who needed help," Jasmine answers without hesitation. That's reason enough for anyone with a conscience. The simple moral clarity of her response breaks something fundamental in Richard's worldview. A man who spent his entire career believing that financial success proved intellectual superiority, that accumulated wealth indicated human worth, faces the devastating reality that his son's life was saved by someone whose expertise he dismissed based purely on skin color and work uniform. "I've spent my whole adult life thinking I was better than people like you," he says, his voice cracking with genuine emotion. "That my business success meant I was smarter, more valuable, more deserving of respect and attention. But you know things I'll never learn. You've done things I couldn't begin to do. You saved my son's life while I sat there embodying everything that's fundamentally wrong with this country." Dr. Martinez returns with comprehensive test results confirming Connor's severe, life-threatening peanut allergy and provides the family with extensive education about daily management protocols. Jasmine participates actively in the medical consultation, sharing practical insights learned from years of real-world emergency experience. The doctor acknowledges her expertise openly and repeatedly. Jasmine has more practical, day-to-day allergy management knowledge than most medical residents who've studied this condition academically. "People think you're being overprotective or paranoid until something exactly like this happens," Jasmine explains patiently to Victoria and Richard. "Then they finally understand why you read every single ingredient list like your child's life depends on it, because it absolutely does. Why you ask 20 detailed questions at every restaurant. Why you carry multiple EpiPens everywhere you go. Why you never ever let your guard down for even a moment." Connor, now fully recovered but forever changed by his brush with death, looks directly at Jasmine with complete trust and asks, "Will I have to be like Maya now? Will I always have to be so careful about everything?" "You'll be prepared and informed," she tells him gently, stroking his hand. "And that's the crucial difference between living in fear and living safely. Maya can teach you amazing things that will help you live a completely normal, happy life. You'll just know much more about taking proper care of yourself than most other kids your age. Will you teach me too? Will you help me learn?" Jasmine smiles warmly. "Your parents are going to learn everything they need to know to keep you safe, and they'll teach you step by step. Maya and I will help whenever you need us, for as long as you want." By dawn, Connor is medically stable, and the immediate crisis has definitively passed. But its impact will reverberate through all their lives forever. Victoria and Richard realize their beloved son nearly died not from an allergic reaction, but from their complete inability to recognize medical expertise when it came from someone they deemed socially inferior. More profound than the medical emergency itself is their devastating understanding that they've been living with dangerous assumptions about human worth, intellectual capability, and professional competence, assumptions that nearly cost them everything they hold most precious in this world. The ultimate challenge wasn't just saving Connor's life, it was forcing everyone involved to confront the potentially deadly consequences of prejudice disguised as proper social order. Connor is discharged the following evening with a comprehensive allergy management plan that will reshape every aspect of his daily life. His small hands clutch 2 brand-new EpiPens, while a medical alert bracelet gleams on his wrist, symbols of his new reality and the vigilance required to keep him safe. But the real transformation extends far beyond medical protocols. Victoria insists on personally driving Jasmine and Maya home, a gesture that would have been unthinkable 48 hours earlier. The luxury sedan creates an unlikely bridge between 2 drastically different worlds as Connor and Maya chatter excitedly in the back seat, bonding over their shared understanding of food allergies. "Maya knows all the safe restaurants in town," Connor says with genuine enthusiasm. "She's going to make me a special list so I know where I can eat. And I'll teach you how to read ingredient labels like a detective," Maya adds proudly. "It's actually kind of fun once you get good at it." Their easy friendship highlights everything their parents failed to see, that expertise and wisdom exist everywhere, regardless of economic circumstances or skin color. Dr. Martinez provides the Matthews family with comprehensive allergy education during their final consultation. Jasmine participates as an equal partner in the medical discussion, sharing practical management strategies learned from years of real-world experience. The doctor acknowledges her knowledge repeatedly. "Jasmine understands daily allergy management better than most medical professionals I've worked with." Victoria struggles to find adequate words for her gratitude. "I keep thinking about what would have happened if you weren't there, if you'd walked away after we—" She cannot finish the sentence, overwhelmed by the magnitude of their near catastrophe. "You were terrified for your child," Jasmine responds with characteristic grace. "Parents make terrible mistakes when they're frightened and don't understand what they're seeing." "But I wasn't just scared," Victoria admits painfully. "I was wrong about everything. About you, about what determines someone's worth, about my own supposed superiority." Connor looks at Jasmine with complete trust and affection. "You're like my guardian angel who saved my life." "You're going to be perfectly fine, sweetheart," she assures him. "Now you know what to watch for, and your parents will learn everything they need to keep you safe and happy." The immediate medical crisis has been resolved, but its profound lessons about prejudice, expertise, and human dignity will resonate forever. Connor will carry more than EpiPens. He'll carry the knowledge that heroes often wear uniforms society teaches us to ignore. The story explodes across social media within hours, viral in the worst possible way for the Matthews family. "Wealthy white family nearly kills son rather than listen to black EMT" becomes a national headline, crystallizing decades of frustration about racial prejudice and its deadly consequences. The video footage, captured by a bystander's phone, shows the entire horrific sequence. Connor struggling to breathe while his parents dismiss Jasmine's expertise, the racial slurs and condescension, and finally the life-saving intervention that came despite their cruelty. The images are impossible to deny or spin into something more palatable. Social media erupts with righteous fury. Rich white couple would rather watch their son die than admit a black woman knew more than them. This is exactly why racism literally kills people. That child almost died because of his parents' prejudice. Rather than retreat into defensive silence or hire crisis management consultants, Victoria chooses radical accountability. She publishes a lengthy public statement that begins, "We almost lost our son because we believed our prejudices were more valuable than a black woman's medical expertise." Jasmine Washington is a trained EMT who saved Connor's life while we told her she wasn't qualified to have an opinion. We were catastrophically wrong, and we're committed to spending the rest of our lives proving we can do better. The admission sends shockwaves through their social circle and professional networks. Country club memberships are quietly revoked. Richard's real estate clients begin canceling contracts. Their carefully constructed social world crumbles as friends distance themselves from the national embarrassment. But something unexpected happens. Opportunities flood toward Jasmine from multiple directions. Metro Hospital calls offering her old EMT position back with significantly improved benefits and scheduling flexibility. The fire department contacts her about their paramedic scholarship program with full educational funding. A major medical device company offers her a position in allergy education and emergency response training. Most surprisingly, a GoFundMe campaign started by a stranger who saw the news coverage raises over $75,000 for Maya's medical expenses in just 1 week. The donations come with messages of support. For the real hero in this story, thank you for saving that child despite how you were treated. Maya deserves the best medical care possible. Jasmine approaches these opportunities with careful consideration. I'm not looking for charity or pity, she tells the reporters who seek her out. I want genuine opportunities that I've earned through my qualifications and experience. Denny's corporate headquarters, facing massive public backlash and potential discrimination lawsuits, implements sweeping changes across all locations. They create comprehensive medical emergency training programs, establish zero-tolerance anti-discrimination policies with real consequences, and promote Jasmine to regional trainer for emergency response protocols. The cruel irony isn't lost on anyone. They're now paying her to teach other locations exactly what she already knew instinctively. The Matthews family's transformation becomes equally dramatic. Victoria establishes a foundation focused on allergy awareness and challenging assumptions about expertise based on appearance or social status. Richard uses his business connections to create internship and scholarship opportunities for qualified minority professionals in healthcare fields. Connor becomes an unexpected advocate for inclusion and allergy awareness, speaking at elementary schools about the importance of listening to people who want to help, regardless of what they look like or where they work. 6 months later, the changes are remarkable. Connor thrives with proper allergy management and has become popular at school as the kid who teaches other children about acceptance and inclusion. Jasmine is halfway through her paramedic certification program, earning straight A's while maintaining weekend shifts for financial security. Maya has a fully funded college savings account and access to the best pediatric allergists in the region. The friendship between the two children has bridged their vastly different worlds, creating something beautiful from the ashes of their parents' failures. The story's impact extends far beyond one family's crisis, sparking national conversations about recognizing expertise wherever it exists and the deadly cost of dismissing knowledge based on prejudice. Real expertise doesn't announce itself with expensive diplomas hanging on office walls or designer clothes that signal social status. Sometimes it arrives quietly, wearing a work uniform, speaking with an accent, or coming from communities that society teaches us to overlook. When we dismiss someone's knowledge based on their race, economic situation, or job title, we don't just insult their dignity. We endanger our own survival. Connor Matthews nearly died not from a peanut allergy, but from his family's deadly inability to recognize medical expertise when it came wrapped in black skin and a waitress uniform. Their racism was literally life-threatening, not just to Jasmine's sense of worth, but to their own child's precious life. This story forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. How many Jasmines work around us every single day, carrying knowledge that could save lives, solve critical problems, or provide insights we desperately need? The housekeeper who notices early signs of cognitive decline. The security guard who understands building safety systems better than the architects. The retail worker who recognizes symptoms of domestic abuse that trained counselors miss. When we automatically assume incompetence based on someone's appearance, uniform, or background, we lose access to wisdom that could literally transform our understanding of the world. Every day, we make crucial decisions about whose voices deserve attention and respect, whose experience counts as legitimate knowledge, whose expertise merits serious consideration. These seemingly small choices have profound consequences, sometimes fatal ones that we don't discover until it's almost too late. The next time someone tries to help you, whether it's a server noticing concerning symptoms, a maintenance worker suggesting solutions to complex problems, or a colleague offering insights from their unique perspective, stop and truly listen. Their knowledge might be exactly what you need to save your life, advance your career, or strengthen your relationships. Challenge yourself. Who have I dismissed recently because of assumptions about their educational background or social status? What crucial knowledge am I missing because I'm not looking for expertise in the right places? How can I become the kind of person who recognizes wisdom and competence wherever they originate? Connor's story ended with healing and growth because one courageous person refused to let prejudice determine a child's fate. Jasmine's bravery didn't just save a precious life, it forced everyone watching to confront the devastating cost of assuming that human worth correlates directly with social privilege. Share this story if you believe expertise and knowledge come in all forms. Comment below about a time when someone unexpected taught you something valuable that changed your perspective. Subscribe to Black Tales Stories for more powerful stories about everyday heroes who prove that genuine heroism often wears work clothes, speaks with different accents, or emerges from communities we're systematically taught to ignore. Sometimes the person who saves your life is the one you almost refuse to let speak.